Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for another office hours training. I'm Crystal Gunn, your financial strategist and small business advisor. Part of my job as that strategist, be it on your business side or your personal side, is to help you create a solid financial relationship and or build a strong business base or foundation on which you can grow. I also help you have some aha moments, some self-discovery moments, and helping you see what no longer serves you so you can release it and soar. All that helps with the breakthroughs. That's where you start to shift. That's where the magic happens, be it in your personal finances or your overall business. It's Tuesday, so let's talk credit. For the past few weeks, I've been talking about the mistakes people make with credit cards. Go back and watch those episodes. And today, let's go over another mistake people make with credit cards and what you should consider doing. Okay, so while it may seem like a good idea to close old or unused credit cards, doing so can have a negative impact on your credit. I get calls all the time or talk to people in workshops and they're like, oh, I have these credit cards. I need to close them. And I'm like, no, let's not close them. Let's not do that. And why? So closing your credit cards can shorten your credit history. So the account you close is one of your older accounts. Closing it can decrease your average age of your credit accounts. Remember, credit history or the length of time you've had credit is 15% of your score. So you all know I'm not a fan of store credit cards, right? So except for maybe Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, or Menards, things that if you own a home and something happens, you can go in and you can get what you need for the home. Like you can't buy a hot water tank at Victoria's Secrets, right? So I'm not a fan of store credit cards. But anyway, I have clients or again, people that I talk to in workshops and they say they want to close some accounts. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me about the accounts that you want to close. And sometimes they're credit accounts. And my first question to them is, why do you want to close the account? And then the second one is, well, how long has the account been open? And if someone says, oh, I've had this account for 10 years, oh, it was it was the first credit card that I ever got. Even if it's a store credit card, I'm still telling them not to close it. Like use it, go in and buy some socks, once a month or something. Something small, but so that you can use it because you don't want to erase that history, right? Another thing that could happen if you close your credit card is it's going to reduce your credit mix. Remember, 10% of your score is credit mix. So what different types of credit do you have? So closing a card may negatively impact the mix, which can then turn into a negative impact on the score. Third thing that you want to think about that will happen when you close a credit card is it may have a negative impact on future credit limit increases. So if you reduce the number of active credit card accounts, future lenders might offer you lower credit limits when you apply for new credit. This is because a reduced credit history and higher utilization rates can signal higher risk to lenders, right? And then there's the increase or possible increase of overall credit utilization ratios. So closing a credit card can reduce your overall available credit, which can increase your utilization ratio, right? So that utilization ratio is what's the balance versus the limit, right? And so when we talk about overall credit utilization, it's if you got 5 credit cards, what's the combined utilization ratio? And a higher ratio can negatively affect your credit score, as it also may indicate to lenders that you're over reliant on credit, right? Meaning you're using credit because you don't have the cash, right? Which a lot of people are doing right now because the prices of everything are so doggone high. So, and the last one I want to talk about is the potential loss of benefits. So, closing a credit card might mean losing out on rewards and benefits that the credit card offers. So, such as cash back, whatever other kind of points they may offer, discounts if you shop in certain places, or travel perks. So, you just want to make sure if you're closing them that you're taking that into consideration. And if definitely you still move to close them, make sure that you are, if it's cash back that's sitting there, that you're getting all of that before you close those accounts. So here are three things that you may consider though. You may consider, well, I just want you to think about every credit card you have, every single one, again, except for store credit cards. I'm not talking about those now. I'm talking Visa, American Express, MasterCard, and Discover. Every one of those cards that you have should have a job, right? So, and the job is going to be based off the credit limits and the perks on that card. So, what do I mean by every credit card you have should have a job? Well, I have a credit card that's specific for utilities, gas, lights, and water. It's the only thing that happens on that credit card. I don't carry that credit card with me. I have another credit card that does streaming. So Netflix, Hulu, I think I pay my Prime there. And a few, I have just a few apps on my phone. So that's paid on that card. Um, I have a card that I use specific for gas in my car. So I carry that one. And then I have a card that is specific for shopping online. And then there's a card specific for, well, there's a few different cards that I use for just out purchasing. So if we're out and I go to a restaurant, if we're going to the grocery store, if I'm just out shopping, if I'm wherever. And so it's a few different cards for that. And so I take those cards with me and the gas card. Those other cards for you to, oh, and then I have another card that pays my cell phone and my internet. So those cards that pay those bills, I don't take those cards with me. They're here, right? I don't, they're that for spits for those specific reasons. That's the job that they have, and that's what they do. Those other jobs, because they have cashback rewards or travel points or all of that when you're making purchases, I use those cards when I'm out and about, trying not to spend money. But anyway, so they all have a job. So now, and so people will say, well, Crystal, how many credit cards should somebody have? Well, it depends, right? Because having credit card doesn't mean carrying credit card debt, right? And people associate the two because of their own experiences, what they saw growing up, what they overheard. But because you have credit cards doesn't mean you necessarily have credit card debt. So look at the individual who pays their phone bill on time every single month. They're using their debit card, they're paying it from their checking account. Well, I'm not saying stop paying it on time every single month. I'm saying just switch the way that you pay it, right? So then you assign that credit card a job. That job is to pay that cell phone bill every month. Let's say that cell phone is $100, right? So you go into, if it's AT&T, you go into AT&T, you set up that credit card as a payment method on your AT&T account. You then go to that credit card. You need to know the date, the due date, and then you go into your bank account and set up automatic bill pay to pay that credit card by that due date of that $100. Your cell phone bill typically doesn't change, right? Your, the streaming services, they typically don't change from month to month. So you know how much is there. You're already paying them. They're coming out of that your checking account. Again, you're not then putting on this credit card and then not paying the credit card off. That's why it's important to set up the automatic bill pay so that that payment is going to that credit card every single month on time. And the things that you will find out will happen, your scores will start to go up and the creditors will start to increase your credit limits, right? So assign every credit card you own a job. Today, now more than ever, people are using their credit cards because the income just isn't stretching enough with the cost of everything being sky high. Even with that, though, try to be strategic in using them to not rake up more debt. Assigning them a job will help with that. Assigning them a job and then doing that automatic payment will help with that. With over 75% of people living paycheck to paycheck, most people cannot pay off their credit cards or any other debt, right? Be sure to monitor balances and the usage of your cards. Only use them when you need to, assign them a job, and make sure you're paying off those new balances in full, plus whatever interest is remaining from if there's balances that you're already carrying. Look at the statement. If the interest is $14, whatever the payment you're paying, pay extra to at least cover the interest and hopefully some more, but at least to cover the interest. Again, now more than ever, it's time for individuals to take a real hard look at their finance, determine what's important to them. I keep saying change is coming, but things are going to get a little worse before they get better for the collective. And you want to be in a position to take advantage of all of the things that are coming. I'm not suggesting to people right now to pay credit card debt off or any other debt unless it's detrimental to your financial relationship. And there's reasons that I say that, with the number one being people can't afford to pay it off, and the number two with the changes that are about to come. So anyway, that's that. Pay attention to what's important to you. Consider those things. So what's my favorite thing? You guessed it. Credit card checkup. And I go back and I say why this is my favorite thing, because a lot of times people go in and they do things because they think it's going to have an impact on their credit, and it doesn't have the impact that they want it to have. Or they don't know what to do. Why? Because they've never been taught the credit card game, right? So they really don't know what they should be doing in the first place. So it's like, okay, well, let's talk about it. Let's create a strategy in this checkup so that you then can go there and do the steps in that strategy. The link for that is, you know where it is, description. So next steps is coming, because life is about elevation and the journey. There's so much that you learn on the journey. Here's the other thing, which I think is super dope and incredible, because it's not just about somebody doing a thing for you. So even like when I help people with restoring their credit, I don't just clean it up. I also teach you how to build it effectively, and then how to use it effectively. So this is also a learning process. You got to learn how to, right, use these tools that are out there. And I'm talking about the financial tools. And part of that, redefining your financial relationship, is also knowing and learning how to use these things effectively. Because if you don't learn how to use them effectively, if I help you to clean up your credit, but I don't teach you how to build and use it effectively, you're going to wind up right back in that same place. Why? Because you haven't learned how to do it effectively, and you haven't necessarily changed the habits that got you into that place in the first place, right? They got you into the trouble in the first place. So it's a journey, it's a process, and learning is a really, really big part of the process. And people should be, knowledge really is power. And I don't care in what arena you're using the knowledge. Knowledge really is power. The more knowledge you have, the better off you are. And I'm not talking necessarily about book knowledge. I'm not talking about, going getting degree after degree after degree. It's not a problem if that's what you choose to do, but I'm talking about knowledge on everyday things that you need to know how to operate in successfully in order to elevate to your next level. You do the small steps, you look back, you heal, and you've climbed a mountain. So, what are those next things to do? Pull your credit card statements. Pull out your credit card statements, your most credit card statements, and determine available credit amounts. Like how much credit is available. Is your limit $1,000? Your balance is $400, you got $600 available credit to use. So you want to pull out all of your credit statements. And again, Visa, American Express, MasterCard, and Discover only for this. Pull out those credit card statements, determine available credit amounts. How much credit can you use on that card? And then give those cards a job, right? Again, based on how much credit limit you have available, right? What's available? Give them a job, right? And when you're figuring this out, you also want to look at utilization, right? It's best if you could use a card where whatever that job that you assign it doesn't take you over that 30% of the limit mark. If you're already over 30% of the limit, we're not really going to worry about that right now. We want to use the cards, right? And so look at what bills you can pay. So cell phone bill, streaming, Netflix, Hulu, Stars, whatever that is. Look at and for some, it might just be that's all you can put on these cards, but you want to put something on them, right? And then you want to go back and set up automatic payment. So let's just say, again, let me give the example. If you're using, let's just say Netflix, I think it might be like $15 or something like that a month, 15, 16, I don't know. Let's just say it's $20 for the sake of this. So Netflix is $20. You go into Netflix system and put in this credit card as the payment method, right? So it's $20, gonna hit this card every single month. Now you want to look at what's the due date on that card. So let's say the due date is the 5th of the month. You want to then set up automatic payment from your bank account, not from the credit card, but from your bank account. You want to go into your bank account, set up that bill pay for that credit card payment, right? So Netflix is $20, $20. You want to definitely look at what's the minimum payment, right? So if the minimum payment is $27, you're definitely going to pay that $27 is going to cover that $20 Netflix, right? Well, you then want to look at what's the interest that has accumulated on that card, right? So you want to pay that $20. 27 is what that minimum payment is. So you're going to make that 27 minimum dollar payment. And then you're going to pay off you want to add to that $20 or that $27. What interest has accrued? So you're going to look at your statement to say, okay, well, you know what? $25, well, let's say $25 has accrued in interest. So now you're going to do $27 plus $25 because you want to make sure that you're paying that interest off so that it doesn't just keep stacking on top of the balance on that credit card. I have people say, you know what, I'm paying, I pay, my minimum payment is $27, but I pay about $30 to $35 every single month. Well, yeah, $14 of that though is interest. So it's going to interest, and that's why you don't see great movement in your balance, right? So you want to make sure now, if you got ideally, if you have a car that has a zero balance and you start to do this, it's $20, you're paying $20 because that's what the balance is, right? The minimum payment wouldn't be 27. So you're setting it up to recur automatically. You are already paying Netflix every single month because you can't get it if you don't pay it, right? So the thing is to put it on that credit card, but then to have that automatic payment happening every single month so that the balance on that credit card is paid in full. If you have a balance on there, you still want to use it, but you want to make sure that you're paying off whatever that new amount that's going on there, right? You want to make sure that you're reaching that minimum payment. And then so whatever it was you were paying on that credit card before, let's say you were paying $30 a month on that credit card before. Okay. Keep paying that $30 a month. Add to it that Netflix payment of $20. And then if you can, add to that whatever interest payment is, right? You were already paying the credit card and you were already paying what you were paying on the credit card and you were already paying Netflix just through some other way. Now you're still going to do that. The way you're paying it is different. You're putting it on automatic payment. So put that bill on automatic payment, that Netflix, $20. You can also put that, you could put that whatever payment you were normally making. And if you look at the last 3 months, the interest is going to be about the same, right? Especially if you're paying minimum payments and not, full payments. The interest is going to be relatively the same. You may say, you know what? The interest has been ranged from $15 to $16. Okay, well, I'm going to make a $17 interest payment, right? So that's going, and then whatever's left is going to the principal. But you just want to make sure that you get it and set up the automatic payments to pay those cards each month. And the thing that winds up happening is now, because you're doing it with intention, because you're making sure that you're paying your interest off, and then you're making the payment, and then you're paying whatever the new stuff is that you put on there, in this case, Netflix, right? The balance is coming down, but there's now new utilization, because what's happening is some people have this balance and they're not using the cards at all. So they're just paying them that, trying to pay them down or making that payment, but there's no new transactions happening. So when the new transactions start to happen, now it's not going to be the same increase in limit as it would be if your balances were zero and you were paying it in full every single month. However, you will, 6 months start to see they may increase your limit because you're continuing to pay the balance down, and then there's new things going on that credit card and you're paying that off in full every single month. You get it? That's okay. If you don't get it, set up a session with me to do a credit review. But whatever you do, don't do the same thing you've been doing in previous years, previous months, last week, and expect something different. Don't be in the same place 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months from now. It's time to level up and improve your financial relationship so that you can live the life you desire and not the one that you get after paying bills. Okay? Now, if this information has been helpful, please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so that you don't miss a thing. One of the other things is you want to make sure that you share this with somebody. Share it with your friends. Hey, it's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool channel on YouTube. Check it out. She drops some good knowledge. You don't know who needs this. And that's the thing. We wind up being gatekeepers to things because of our own embarrassment, because our own guilt, because our own whatever when it comes to this financial thing, right? So you don't want to share something because what you think somebody is going to think about you. Oh, well, if they're sharing this with me, they must have bad, raggedy credit, whatever. Well, you might. But first of all, that other person probably isn't even thinking about you like that. And here's the biggest part of that: that other person might need the exact thing that you're sharing. They just haven't told you that, right? So if you share it, you've done your thing, let them dig into it. It might be the blessing that they need, right? We have to spread knowledge and spread blessings, right? We have to do that. So this information just might be the thing that someone else needs. So don't be the gatekeeper on it. Share the information. Also, if you are in need of personal or business strategy, let's talk about it. Remember, I always say, when you're in the middle of a thing, whatever the thing is, it could be weight loss, it could be health, it could be some other issue, whatever it is, when you're standing in the middle of it in your business, you can't always see your way out of it. It doesn't even have to be an issue. I got a call from somebody that when I was writing mortgage loans, I did all of his rental property mortgages. And um, through that time, we built a relationship. Rapport. He doesn't live here. I live in Michigan. He lives in California. But he called me, and we've been playing phone tag, and he called me. But he called me because he was like, he has over 700 credit scores, but he had a lot of inquiries, and he wanted to get rid of some inquiries. So he wanted to know what I do around that and the whole credit repair restoration thing. And so we talked about that. But as we continued to talk, he talked about having these properties in his name, and where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do. And I said, we need to do a strategy session. Yeah, we can do the things with the inquiries, getting them off. I said, but we need to do a strategy session. I says, because you're standing in the middle of it. You know what you want to do, and then you're also not here. And so he was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. Because I don't know, and this is him saying this, I don't know all of the different options that I have. I don't know what's going to be the best option for me. I don't know. He ran down three things, which he's a real estate investor. However, there's some things that he doesn't know. And because he's standing in the middle of it, he needs somebody to be able to, from the outside, look in and be like, hey, this might be the way, the best way, or how you need to structure a thing, because he's been doing this thing this same way for the last 4 or 5 years, right? So sometimes having that conversation with someone else, allowing them to be able to ask you questions, will make you think of things differently, can offer some different strategy that you would not have seen, because you're standing in the middle of it doing the thing. You're standing in the middle of your business doing the business, right? So as we wrap up for today, always, always, as I say, give yourself some grace. You don't know why you operate the way that you operate. You don't know what you don't know. All of the things. Just give yourself some grace. That same grace that you give to other individuals, give it to you and give yourself more. But keep striving. Keep striving for your next level, right? This isn't about a competition. This isn't about what someone else thinks about you. This is your next level. This is your journey for your own elevation. Never, ever give up on you. Keep restarting if you need to restart. You know what I'm saying? If you said, okay, whatever it is, if I haven't worked out in 30 days and I was working out before, just start back again. Just never, ever, ever give up on you and invest in you. And I promise you, it is the best investment that you will ever make. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Be sure to join me for the private online Q&A immediately following. The link is in the description. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so you never miss this opportunity. Thank you again, and I will see you on the other side.